Welcome to NARAL's The Morning After. Each Thursday, our podcast brings you the latest on reproductive health care, progressive politics, and the fight to keep abortion safe and legal. NARAL's The Morning After is a production of NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ProChoiceOH. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the first crossover podcast.
I'm excited.
I'm really excited. I'm sitting here with my Ohio twin counterpart.
Woo!
Yeah, you're twins. Tall, redheads with freckles.
Gabe Mann, the executive director of
No,
NARAL Pro-Choice
no.
Ohio. What is your title?
Communications director.
Some
Communications
article.
manager. Jesus, I just gave myself a promotion. Some article did call me the executive director.
I was reading it
fake
today and I
news.
was like, you
Fake
guys,
news.
did you know that Gabe is the executive director of
Like,
NARAL Pro-Choice
wow.
Ohio? He's a bigwig and we don't know it.
That's always nice when you have to send that email to your boss and be like,
God.
whoa, I was given your title
So sorry.
in a newspaper article today.
So, welcome
It's
to
not my job yet.
This is Repro Madness and Morning After Pill.
NARAL's The Morning After.
NARAL's The Morning After
Yes.
Pill.
No,
Pill.
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 that's a great name.
So you guys are in Cleveland. We're in preterm. And you're back. If it's July in Cleveland, it must be a Lady Parts Justice.
It's been like a year.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
And you guys just did the Cleveland show of the Vagical Mysteries Tour.
Vagical Mystery Tour.
Mysteries.
Only one mystery.
You guys, during this episode podcast, can we just try and correct each other's grammar as much as possible? It's so fun for the people listening.
Hey, it's a title. It's a
We're correcting
hashtag.
titles.
I was correcting a
Not
title.
grammar.
It was a hashtag. I'm just saying.
I don't know a damn thing about grammar, so I will not be correcting it. But
I'll be correcting.
So great. So joining me and Gabe is Molly and Abby, also from Buzz Off Lucille and Lady Parts Justice League. So the podcast Repro Madness is Lady Parts Justice. The tour is Lady Parts Justice League.
Okay.
Very, very important.
more
distinguishing
corrections.
things.
We'll put it all in the
Yes.
notes.
All
We'll
the
put the
corrections.
grammar corrections in the notes.
Yes. But you're right. We're touring with Lady Parts Justice League, and this has been our third city so far. Buzz Off Lucille joined, but there were 6 cities before us. So we're in the last little home stretch, and it's fun to be back in Ohio, even if it is Cleveland.
Well, it's not that it's
Yikes.
Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland is as good as any other part of the state, but it's just such a nasty environment for women statewide. So as we're sitting here right now, we're also monitoring the news in Ohio. When you got into the state, we had 9 abortion clinics. As you leave this state, we will have 8. And so that's our latest update, is that Akron Women's Medical Group has made the decision to close their clinic. And so now we're down 1.
Do you have any idea the scope of the county that clinic served?
Well, Northeast Ohio has more clinics in this corner of the state than the rest does. So, fortunately, we do have preterm right here. If you go down the road, there's Planned Parenthood surgical facilities. So, they do have other options here. But, I always kind of compare it. I know you're not supposed to compare abortion to other medical services, but I always think of it. Imagine if everybody in the state of Ohio had to go to the same 9 dentist office.
Yeah.
And how hard it would be to get an appointment, in a dentist's office, and then all of a sudden they go from 9 clinics down to 8.
Right.
And for us to have this horrible environment that John Kasichs has created during his time in office, it's virtually impossible for a doctor who wants to set up shop here in Ohio to open up a new clinic. And that's our biggest problem. Losing 1 clinic is bad. It being impossible to replace it is so much worse.
I really hate the way that Kasich has positioned himself. Like, I think he, like, for example, when the 6-week ban and the 20-week ban were on the table, and he was like, the 6-week ban is too much, but then he
Right.
signs the 20-week ban. It's like,
He didn't just say too much. He said that he would not sign it because the 6-week ban didn't have exceptions for rape or incest.
Those were his only,
The 20-week ban did not have exceptions for rape or incest.
seriously?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He vetoed one and signed the other and gave his reasoning for his veto. But that same reasoning should have applied to the bill that he signed.
There's no exception for rape or incest in the 20-week ban.
No.
That is awful.
No. And you know, none of the abortion restrictions have included those exceptions that Kasichs signed. There has been some stuff where it might be an abortion restriction that's not like a direct ban. It's a different type of policy change where it would treat you know, rape survivors differently. But when he signs an abortion ban, he's never, you know, he's never said during the committee process when you're supposed to like discuss these things. There's nobody from the governor's office saying, hey, please add this in. You know, the governor wants these exceptions. No, that's, he doesn't actively participate in the process.
That's the sneaky part is like, you know, to the common Ohio constituent, that's like not necessarily paying attention. You know, like they're not seeing those details. They're not hearing about that.
Yeah,
they're
that's what they're hoping.
So they look at, they hear the, Kasichs moderate, you know, and it's like, no, he's actually been really bad for women in Ohio.
Yeah, all of these restrictions have basically been written by, you know, staff that he's put in place or been done with his office's direct approval.
God, it's crazy. What was it? I was doing my research this morning before coming in, and it was saying that in 2013 there were 70 laws. Since 2013, there have been 70 laws enacted
Don't doubt it.
in Ohio.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, like, it's just mind-boggling to me how good the other side has been at using state regulations to chip away at things.
Right. Yeah, it gets so much less attention than something would in Congress. You know, and I've worked for state legislators before who have been in Congress, and that's what they advise, you know, some people, and they'll go to Washington and, hey, we've got this idea, and congressmen regularly say, listen, you're never going to get this through Congress. Take it down to the state level, and it's going to cost so much less. It's going to move so much faster. It's such a smaller operation, and that's where they push things through. And, you know, we're seeing that first and foremost with these abortion restrictions.
I was telling them there's this amazing documentary. I was telling you last night about this film called Birthright, a War Story, and it's like a whole look at reproductive rights. I mean, it's amazing. Everyone should go and watch it. But at one point, they are talking with a woman from National Right to Life, and she basically is like, we've been enacting legislation for 30 years that's against abortion, and now all of a sudden you think you're going to come in and like put some pro-abortion legislation in place? She's like, good luck. We've been doing this for way longer. It's so scary to be like, you're right. Oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
Wow, she's the devil.
Wow.
Wow. I think I found out who the devil was.
Right.
But do you want to go back to the Akron Clinic? What is like the real reason that's pushing them to close?
I think it's just the owner there, the doctor's retiring. So, you know, all sorts of businesses, doctors' offices, they open up and they close all the time. And so, you know, that's the problem though, is that sometimes when they close, you expect, okay, somebody else is going to open up. And
yeah, who do I pass the torch to?
Yeah, that's our problem. So we really do need to, you know, take as good of care of our abortion providers, their staff, their patients as we can to make sure that this resource for people in Ohio doesn't continue to go away. And so, if we can pivot here, that's why it's incredibly awesome that you guys are coming here to hang out with the preterm staff. And give them, you know, give them some credit and some thanks as you guys are really awesome at doing.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Just walking in right now.
Yeah.
Because just like forging these relationships, coming back, hugging everybody that we saw. It means a lot to me personally to forge those true friendships and
Yeah, I think something that we learned in maybe like in the past year is just that it's very easy to be siloed in New York. Like, you know, we're like abortion activists, right? And so, you know, our work is online and social media, making comedic videos, and there's something so important about the like connecting with the clinics, the people that work in the clinics, putting a face,
putting your
face
physical
to them,
body at a place, and
right, and making the human connection of like, we are in New York and we're working for you and we're like supporting you from afar, and like saying that now we're able to come back and remember and know these people, you know, and like be really building on these relationships. It's been really great.
This is the first clinic for me that I've been able to return to, and it's a really special feeling. Last year we felt like it was abortion camp when we came here. We got to come and to the clinic every day, and it just like feels like a camp reunion. I think it's a super specific kind of activism and showing our love for these providers and being like, we'll come back, we love you, we miss you, we continue to support you.
Abortion camp.
Yay!
You sell a rolling, you go swimming, horseback riding.
Oh my god, we're gonna boondoggle later. We're all gonna boondoggle together.
Boondoggle?
But that's what it's called. You know what boondoggle is.
I don't know what
Oh, okay.
is.
Well,
Gabe, you know what boondoggle
it's that colored plastic, and you do little knots, and
that has a name?
That's called
I
boondoggling.
had no idea that
You're
had a
gonna
name.
boondoggle you came here just to boondoggle the staff.
All throughout growing up, that's what it was
It
called.
sounds like a sex position. Oh, and
I
then we
know.
did the boondoggle.
Yeah, then we did the
and,
boondoggle.
Woo! Things got hot.
No clothes on, boondoggled all night.
Abby learned how to boondoggle in the 3rd grade. She's been doing it ever since.
Yeah.
Oh, Abby, she's a long time boondoggling.
Yeah, that's what it is. All right, well,
we gotta look into that.
Okay,
I want to know where that
look
name.
it up.
No, I believe you that that's the name, but like, where did that come from?
It's weird. I don't know.
Okay, well, while we
Glad you
Google
acknowledge.
boondoggle.
Yeah.
So last year when you guys were here, you brought in a taco truck, set up the karaoke machine, threw a party in the parking lot. You know, that was incredible. That never happens here.
Like, you mean the just celebration, or just in general, taco trucks?
Taco trucks refuse to come.
I can't speak to the taco truck, but I mean, just having a party for abortion providers, coming to their place of business and saying, you know, hey, you guys, you deserve, you know, some credit and a drink, and, you know, let's party for an afternoon. So that was really amazing to watch that last year, and to have you do that again this year for the staff. You know, that's got to be like the greatest job ever, is driving around and
It is
throwing
really
parties.
Joy. Yeah, for sure.
To see all the clinic workers get to have fun with each other. Not that we're here all the time, but it's just like, you know, think about it. Whenever we get to party with each other, it's a whole different dynamic than when you're at work, and it just like is a little weight off your shoulders, and it's just celebrating them. It's like, it's your party. Drink if you want to. Like, and same thing with the shows. I always think that in the shows, like, it's fun to bring providers and staff into the space of celebrating them, because it seems on face level, it's not just a party. It's truly a mindset, I believe, of making them superstars, rock stars at your party. You know, like, it's the little things like that.
Right, and so after so a part of the tour, you know, we go to these different cities, we do a comedy show, but then after the show, the point is really to bring the audience that came to the show in connection, like to connect them to the abortion providers and people working in their community for abortion rights, you know. So we have these talkbacks with people from the clinics, people from different organizations, all in an effort to activate our audience to volunteer for these organizations and to see that they can help and give them direct access to sign up and get motivated.
Yeah, and you know, last night after the show was over, the comedy was done, and then there was that point where it's like, okay, bring up the lights, and here's some people that work for the local clinics. And I honestly kind of expected like an exodus for the doors, but people sat there and listened and really wanted to hear what, you know, what the preterm staff had to say about what it was like working in the clinic. you know, what sort of experiences they've heard from women who've gotten services here. And also, there was one of the organizers from URGE, who's a partner organization of ours. They do terrific work. So, you know, using this comedy draw as then, hey, while you're in the room, let's talk about exactly why we're here. I thought that was really valuable. So.
Yeah, and it's cool to see after the talk back when the people who listen to the talk back like immediately beeline to sign up and volunteer. That's been a cool thing to witness.
Yeah. I loved how Liz Winstead was talking to them and called them out on this. She asked everybody on stage what they could use from the volunteers or what their experience was at the clinic, and they immediately pivoted to talking about the patients. It's such a hallmark of being an abortion provider or just loving abortion. You just care so much. And you're like, oh, it's not about me. It's not about me. We're
Right.
trying to be like, no, this is about you right now. Tell us your experience,
Yeah.
what it's like walking into a clinic every day, and what you need. It was funny to watch.
And this from a clinic that, I mean, they had the fence out back stolen. They've had windows shattered recently. So
yeah,
they
I saw that.
you know, they've had unnecessary expenses due to vandalism. So, you know, when Liz is up there saying, hey, you know, abortion providers, clinic owners, tell the community what you need. This is a clinic who's needed some things. You know,
Right.
they need donations to replace the windows that
Right.
you guys have helped, you know, publicize and help them fundraise around.
Right.
So there's definitely a need for these sort of things.
And I think a lot of times, you know, we talk about abortion stigma, it is focused on the patients and like how hard it is for them to, you know, find care, et cetera. But doing abortion work and being an abortion provider, or even being somebody that is an administrator at an abortion clinic, like there's stigma around that. Like in the conversations we've had in the past few cities, and just in general, the spaces that we get to, you speak to some of these administrators and they're like, oh no, my family doesn't know where I work. You know, they don't, I don't get to talk about what I do. And it's like, they come to work every day. There are protesters screaming outside. They don't know. I mean, if you've seen the documentary that came out from Rewire, the Care and Chaos,
I haven't seen that.
down in Charlotte, it's just
Great.
It's a 20-minute doc.
I'm
it's really
way
great.
behind on my documentaries. apparently.
But there's protesters write down clinic workers' license plates, you know, and it's like, what do they do with that? Like,
Right.
that's to know that there are people actively like, I don't know, stalking or like doing weird things. Like that's
Yeah, I mean,
another
best case
issue
scenario,
that-
they're just writing it down to be seen, writing it down, and they're a jerk.
just to freak you out because they're fucking weirdos. But yeah, so like there's a stigma in working here too, and so like being able to come in and like celebrate and be like, no, like be like you work at a great place that does good work, and we appreciate you.
Right.
That's cool. It's cool to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a different working environment. What?
Do you feel appreciated?
We love you,
appreciate
Gabe.
you.
We appreciate you.
I don't work in a clinic though. I mean, our office in
Your
Columbus.
office is in a clinic, and do this work.
This office is in a clinic, but it's such a noticeable difference for me coming up here.
But as the executive director
Yeah.
of NARAL, I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
But our office in Columbus is in just sort of a small little office building. So when I go into work, there's nobody standing outside, thank God.
Mhm.
Coming in here, you know, even just bringing in backpack and, you know, some microphone tripods and this equipment, walking past patients, it's totally a different vibe. You know, I always compare what the patients in the waiting room are going through just to like my own doctor's office experiences. And it's, you know, I think I've never gone to the doctor and been like, oh, thank God I get to sit in this waiting room. It always sucks. So you know this person is having a shitty day because they're at the doctor and that sucks. And so the idea that maybe they've got some other level of, you know, just personal, I don't want to use the word trauma because it's not necessarily traumatic, but just
an unsettling feeling is maybe happening.
yeah. And then all of a sudden there's some, you know,
You're getting
gangly
harassed
redhead
on top of it.
yeah, getting harassed. And then there's me carrying like audio equipment through the lobby, and they're like, "What the hell is that?" But it's it's definitely a different vibe. So I think it's good to help people sort of normalize, this, so that they can finish up their doctor's visit. The staff can clock out and go have a drink.
Yeah.
So,
I'm just curious, like, I'm from Ohio, right? So I have a lot of like family and friends here, and I can battle them, the ones that don't agree with choice,
right,
from afar. You know what I mean? I don't have to see them frequently. You being here, is there do you have a problem like speaking about the work you do?
No, not at all. I mean, I think if you're a NARAL staffer, it was the same case with the Planned Parenthood staffer. I think you're always going to advocate for abortion rights. It's just you decide whether to dial it up or dial it back based upon which situation you're in. I mean,
crank it.
There are some times where it's some Facebook discussion, and you really just let it fly and tell people what you think, and then there's other times where maybe you're at your mechanic picking up your car, and the mechanic might say something, and it's just like, well, you're working on my brakes, so I'm gonna let this slide.
I'm just gonna turn it down right now so I can get home safely.
Yeah, and it's not that I couldn't have a conversation with the guy, but it's just I'm not gonna actually win anything here. Yeah. And when we do advocacy, it's much more applicable to your question, I think. There's points when we look at it from a persuasion point of view of, can we talk to a voter and let them change, help them change their opinion of what abortion access means, or maybe our resources are tighter, and so we just look at okay, we're not going to try and change anybody's minds. We just need to go to the people who already understand the value of this work and make sure that they get turned out, or that they get connected to the information on how to contact their legislators. So, it's similar there. You got to kind of figure out exactly how much to engage based on the audience that you're looking at. And maybe that's your aunt and uncle at Thanksgiving. So.
Oh gosh.
Turn it off. Yep. Turn that shit off.
I don't know. I wanted to get. Well, did you want to hear anything else about the tour? Anything else?
Sure, unless you're trying to move on. I mean, I am curious to hear like how the other dates on the tour went, where you're headed next. What else is in the future for Lady Parts Justice and Buzz Off the Seal. So,
well, we just came from Detroit. The Detroit show was really awesome. Live audience, like obviously live audience, but like alive, great energy. The audience last night in Cleveland was so awesome. We're headed to Pittsburgh next.
Right.
And then our final stop is Louisville.
Pittsburgh, let me pause you there. We were talking about this last night with Liz, because we were asking her what clinic you're actually going to be visiting there. And apparently it's Allegheny. I think it's like Allegheny Women's Medical, something Allegheny.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know the name of the clinic there, because we just commonly refer to that facility as Pittsburgh. And normally it's in the context of, wow, this woman needs some advanced care and we're not able to get her into a provider here. We need to send her to Pittsburgh. So they are kind of we need bigger help.
Feeder,
got to go to Pittsburgh.
So they're like a great facility. Yeah. That's great.
They're the Preterm of Pennsylvania. But yeah, so I've never been to that facility, but I know of them in reputation, just like, they're the next step up in terms of getting women help.
That's really great. I'm cool. I'm excited to go there then. That's been the neat experience, is seeing the different clinics. You know, we didn't do a clinic visit in Indianapolis.
No.
But yeah, so we just joined. So this is like our second clinic stop. We did a few clinics in Detroit, and we did some clinic escorting and some protester counter protests.
Yeah, I saw the Facebook photos of you guys in the vests.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was a blast.
Yeah, and obviously we clinic escorted last year here at Preterm, which was also a big exciting adventure, and we just passed probably some of the regulars as we walked in here. We got shouted at as we just walked in, saying some guy said, "Don't murder your baby," and another woman yelled, "I regret my abortion." Yeah, so
like, can we get lunch?
yeah, the guy was like, "We're taking orders for lunch."
Well, what are you doing?
So yeah, saw some of the regulars, and
I think Pittsburgh will be fun. We're doing a whole CPC action coming up.
Okay.
Called Expose Fake Clinics, which I believe NARAL is on as a partner.
We've signed on. Yep.
Yeah, totally.
Not 100% certain what exactly we're doing, but yes, we're on board.
That's great, cool. So the whole thing is just to like get the word out about these phony baloney clinics and what's the ratio in Ohio? So you were saying like now we're down to 8 clinics.
We're down to 8
but
clinics.
Like roughly how many CPCs are there?
CPCs, I think it's somewhere 150 to 175.
Like
that's
that's what $1 million state tax dollars does.
Yes.
It creates roughly 100 and so.
And that was just re-upped, so they're getting.
Did it re-up? I thought the last time we talked, they were taking it out of the budget.
No, they put it back in.
Oh my gosh!
So yeah, we just had another. Every 2 years we do our budget cycle, and
we spoke too soon on that.
Well, my word then was cautiously optimistic. Emphasis on cautious.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original state budget was written without any money for crisis pregnancy centers because Kasichs came out at the beginning of the budget process and said, listen, this state is in an economic recession. There's going to be like $1 billion hole in the budget. The budget is a $60 billion bill, and they were like $1 billion short. And so we were saying, hey, if you're short on cash, let's not give $1 million to crisis pregnancy centers. But as the budget process moved along, it became 200,000 and then 600,000, and then they were like, let's just make it $1 million.
That's easier.
And 0 is going to Planned Parenthood.
Right, because Kasichs has defunded Planned Parenthood twice in Ohio. So, and they're busy fighting against the possibility that they'd be blocked from Medicaid reimbursement at the national level.
And obviously all of the 8 independent abortion providers get none of that money as well.
Right. They're not getting any support from the state of Ohio.
At all.
But $1 million goes to, I'm not even calling them CPCs, they're just anti-abortion groups.
Yeah, for the listeners, they're imposter fake clinics that pretend to be actual abortion providers when they do not provide abortion, and they're usually religiously affiliated and try to dissuade women from.
Right. They also don't get this money from the State Department of Health. So you think, they're claiming to offer services to women. They'll get health dollars. No, these are TANF dollars.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's like welfare?
Yeah. So temporary assistance to needy families. So this is the sort of stuff, Jamie was using an example that she'd heard some other podcast episode where it can be cash assistance that families get because, food stamps are great. But if you have bills to pay because, somebody broke a leg and can't go back to work as a construction worker, or, the car's broke and you need cash to actually pay to get your brakes fixed. Jamie's example was there was somebody who had lead-lined pipes in their house, and so they were using that cash to be able to pay a plumber to come in to get rid of their lead plumbing.
Oh my gosh.
It's money for poor people.
For people that need it.
And they sliced off $1 million to give to these anti-abortion groups that run CPCs.
It's infuriating, and that's the big, we have this big campaign coming out, and we're really excited to just let everybody know about it. Let everyone, I didn't know what a crisis pregnancy center was last year. I don't think, to a year and a half ago. And it's like, I'm in the field. I can't imagine people who are pro-choice who aren't in the field who don't know anything.
Unbelievable, almost.
It is.
All these things are truly.
The
amount. Nobody can believe that you would give state dollars to just lie to patients who are tricked.
Yes.
Tricked from the second they walk in the door, manipulated, these vulnerable people, they're separated from their phones. It's just like...
Even before they walk in the door, I went down to one of our facilities in Dayton. It's called the Women's Med Center. If you stand in their parking lot and turn around and look at the building behind you, it's called the Women's Center.
Oh.
And I mean, they both look like kind of doctor's office-y, sort of small buildings with little parking lots and a sign out front of each. And if you don't catch that one's Women's Med Center and one is the Women's Center, and you walk in the other one, you're not in the abortion facility, and you might not realize that until you filled out some damn clipboards and sat there for a half an hour and waited.
And why would you ever figure that out? Why would you ever think that that would be a possibility?
Yeah.
It would, my brain would explode.
Yeah, you're already stressed from booking the appointment,
being
pregnant, like trying to decide what you would like to do, and then you
going
it's the
to the
last thing.
dentist
It's the last thing in your mind that you would think that some other organization would be copying the font and the place of the actual abortion clinic. It's just like it's like an alternate universe.
It's not the upside down place.
It's the upside down place.
So the campaign, so if you're listening, probably by the time this comes out, it's exposefakeclinics.com. And there's a big campaign starting on Monday, and that's right kind of when we hit Pittsburgh. So we're going to be doing actions in Pittsburgh against these anti-abortion extremist groups. And on top of the show and on top of some clinic outreach. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about doing some stuff. And then, the big last hoop-de-doo is when Operation Save America is in Louisville for their Summer of Justice.
Summer of Justice. So Louisville's gonna be nuts.
Right.
So we're ending our tour with a party and there's going to be 700 or so of the worst anti-abortion friends.
I heard there's going to be a prayer tent.
A prayer
Fun.
tent.
It's like Burning Man. It's like Burning Man. We'll go paint our faces and go into the prayer tent.
Yeah. So that's where we're ending. That's why we are
Summer of Justice sounds terrible. Why does it have to be justice?
I know. I honestly, I have no idea what to expect. I mean, I have ideas in my head, but I don't know what we're going to be walking into in Louisville.
Could be a boondoggle fest.
It could be a boondoggle fest. We would all just
It could be people bamboozling.
Bamboozling and bagoozling and boondoggling.
In the prayer tent.
Yeah, in the prayer tent. Who knows what happens in the prayer tent stays in the prayer tent.
And then you're back to New York.
And then, then I go to Politicon.
Politicon? What's Politicon?
Never heard of Politicon?
No.
Oh boy. At first I was like, I just want to go home. But I'm excited. So Politicon is this convention that happens that brings people together of both sides.
It's like Comic-Con for politics.
Yeah, it's like Comic-Con for politics. So they bring...
Yeah. Okay.
So last year we went and Lady Parts Justice did a show and had a workshop panel thing. But then also there was a panel of anti-abortion people that spoke. You know what I mean? So it's
oh god.
And Sarah Palin was there. But this year they announced that Chelsea Handler will be debating Tomi Lahren.
Oh, that little blonde 23-year-old that thinks she knows everything.
I did hear about that.
But apparently is pro-choice now.
Yeah, she says she just wants government out. I mean, their whole thing is, government stay out of my business, and so, she doesn't want them taking her guns, and she doesn't care if you get an abortion. She would never get an abortion, but
shame, but you do it, but I'll shame you.
Yeah, so that I think it'll be interesting. That's the big draw this year.
Okay.
That's gonna be. I'm jealous. I'm excited for you to be there
At Comic-Con for Political Nerds.
Yeah.
I'm picturing somebody like in an Optimus Prime suit with one of those boater hats that they wear at political conventions.
Well, there's a lot of cool stuff there. Julie and I got these pictures of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and this guy painted it or whatever,
like
and she had like this robot arm. Like there's something for everybody there.
For everyone.
Okay.
If you're confused, you thought it was Comic-Con, you'll still
have something to do.
Yeah, I went to the anti-abortion panel, and Dr. Martin Luther King's niece or whatever, who is like, do you know who? I forget what the fuck her exact name is.
Is it?
But anyway, she's like some distant niece something, but she's like a talking head for the anti-abortion people.
Yes.
Because she likes to say that, Martin Luther King was actually against abortion. I know, even though like she's kind of been ostracized from their family.
Yeah, I know that there's a divide amongst the cousins within their family.
It was so hard to sit and listen to this panel of like 6 very out of touch women just say some of the dumbest things. And what's her face? Who's in that NRA ad?
Oh, this horrible thing.
She was there too.
Is she the brunette bowl cut woman?
Well, no, not bowl cut. She's like fancy dolled up. She's very pretty and attractive, and she's just we don't take our guns and abortion's bad.
Yeah. No, did you see the ad? It's like they're reenacting scenes from 1984.
What?
Oh, it's crazy. Like unintentionally, just. There's, no law and order in the streets, and we need to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of dark.
Kind of like,
and there's a great response ad to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, put out by one of the Black Lives Matter chapters, and she sort of, provides this, it's the same graphic look to it, and this woman talking about how people need to be able to protect themselves, and then she stops and she's like, wait a minute, what's with all this crazy talk? And so then the backdrop cuts out, and it's like just this group of normal people, and she's like, we just need all to stand with each other and have normal conversations about our personal interactions. NRA, you need to take down these ads and stop this insanity.
That's great.
So there's a really good response ad to that.
I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after the tour, I go directly to that, and then I'm able to make it back to New York. But.
And then we're going to be planning for the second Golden Probe Awards.
Awesome! I want to go to that. It looks
Oh my God,
Oh my God,
you can totally
come.
come.
Okay.
You can stay with one of us. We can put you up. Maybe we can put two
we'll
redheads together.
Yeah, two redheads together.
Yeah, I got room in my place.
No, the last year's show looked pretty awesome. So, do you guys have a date set for? It was in October last year.
Tentatively like a mid-October 15th type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. It's going to be in a bigger venue as far as we know so far. We don't have a ton of details, but bigger,
better,
flashier.
More assholes. Think more.
All the assholes you can fit in your brain.
Yeah.
Try not to.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay, sounds pretty good.
Well, before we leave, I wanna give our listeners like a little taste of just like an update on what really is like the status of what's happening in Ohio. So like I think the other big thing is that the state Senate just passed the
we call it the abortion method ban.
Abortion method ban.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a ban on a D&E procedure, which is the most common. It's the safest abortion method done in the second trimester. Even though it's the safest, they make all wild claims about it and want to block women from accessing it. So, when Kasich came into office, one of the very first things he did is he put in place a post-viability ban. So that's around 24 weeks. Then he passed the 20-week ban. So we've gone from 24 weeks down to 20, and now this D&E ban, which is going to apply to second trimester. So it's kind of like a 13-week ban. So they're just moving the bar 24 weeks, 20 weeks. Now this would be around 13 weeks. And it did move to the Senate. So this was, a big deal. We wanted to really have a strong showing against it because, because most abortions are first trimester abortions. This isn't a procedure that even people who have had abortions are necessarily familiar with. They might not understand the importance of it. And, you know, it's just, it kind of took us a minute, you know, every restriction, it's like, okay, how are we going to talk about this in a way of making sure people understand the importance, or to get their attention in the first place. And because of that, that's when several of our organizers decided, you know, they'd seen The Handmaid's Tale done as a protest forum down in Texas. They were like, you know what, this warrants that. Let's put that together. And so Stephanie Craddock Sherwood with Women Have Options, which is our biggest abortion fund here in Ohio. She's the executive director of that. She sewed bonnets. And they ran out and bought red capes.
Awesome.
And recruited some of her volunteers and some NARAL volunteers. And, you know, they hit that first committee hearing and parked them all in a row in the front of the audience and sat there for testimony. So our most retweeted tweet is a photo of the bill sponsor standing there explaining why he wants to ban this procedure with 8 handmaids on both, you know, on either side of him in the front row.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. I thought that they were going to get kicked out, honestly, but they, you know, they weren't, and they just started the committee, and it was like, oh, wow, they're really going to move forward with this hearing with these women sitting. And you know, Saturday Night Live did a great handmade sketch.
Yeah.
And the point of their sketch was that the women were coming along and they were, you know, trying to move without being noticed. And then the guys come up and they're like, hey, we didn't see you at the barbecue.
Yeah.
And the guys
What's
don't,
happening?
yeah. And the guys
Let's
like
see.
don't have a clue that something's going on. That's what the hearing was like.
Oh.
Because they just ignored the women sitting there and moved on as if everything else was normal. And I was like, holy shit, this is insane.
That's crazy.
They're
And then
probably
the bill
like, oh,
passed
that's
the
what they're
Senate.
wearing. That's what we're forcing
Yeah.
to wear now? Oh, okay, let's move on.
Yeah, Paul Ryan says you can't wear sleeves, so everybody has to
Oh,
wear.
right.
You can't wear sleeves.
We can't wear sleeveless, so
So
now we have
it's-
to wear a whole
right.
robe.
Whole road.
That's just what that is.
That's
Yeah.
just what that is now.
No, but it was like the entire Senate said, okay, the women are doing something weird. Can we keep moving on with this bill?
Ugh.
And that's what happened.
What
Yikes.
what is like, so come back after summer session, whatever, and then
Then
The
they're going to
House.
pull it up in the House.
What are the
Um,
chances
what are
of
the
it getting
chances?
through that?
The House is even more Republican votes than what passed the 20-week ban back in December.
and then it goes to Kasich, and then what?
And then it goes to Kasich, who, if he was using his I'm not going to sign anything with no rape or incest exceptions, he should, using his same logic,
Mhm.
veto. What's an added layer is that they don't have the same votes as last year. They have more Republican votes. Kasich is no longer veto-proof. They could override this veto and force this thing to go into law. And so then, you know, we've got ACLU lined up where they're, you know,
See
looking
that?
at, and seeing what sort of a lawsuit this is. Because this is something as unconstitutional as
Yes.
as the 6-week ban was. Really is the 20-week ban. These are all pre-viability
Yeah.
abortion bans. You know,
And
clearly unconstitutional.
it's directly like you were saying, taking something that is medically safe, that
Yeah, safest procedure.
is a totally safe procedure, and for some reason regulating it and saying, no, you can't do that anymore.
Right,
But from people that have no medical background,
right.
which is.
And what they've actually said is, don't worry, there's other procedures out there.
But
What?
when you look at them, they are so unsafe.
What are these
They're-
procedures?
It's
They're the ones
literally
that doctors
forcing-
quit doing.
Exactly. It's forcing a woman to basically give
Co-hangers.
birth, right? Like it's like forcing a woman's body to go into pregnancy.
I'm not a
Or going
doctor,
to
so
labor.
I can't describe
I
it.
don't
But
know. We talked about it in a past podcast episode.
I didn't
but
realize that layer. That's
it's like
truly
it's
awful.
The complications are higher. It's more traumatic for a woman to go through.
Yeah.
It's just a lot.
right. They choose the safest method because it's the safest method.
Mhm.
Let's not get rid of the safest method.
That makes me so angry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Welcome back to it.
I do love it here.
Yes. Very
Yeah,
nice.
despite those
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, Drew Carey, Cleveland rocks? Question mark.
Thanks for having us,
Thank you
Dave.
so
Thanks,
much,
Gabe.
Before I let you go, so you guys are in Pittsburgh when? What's the dates?
The 19th is our show?
The 19th is our show. We arrive on the 17th, which
Okay.
is Monday, Sunday night Monday. Our show is July 19th, Wednesday,
July 19th, Wednesday in Pittsburgh.
in Pittsburgh.
So people can get information at the Lady Parts Justice League.
League.
Yeah.
Or just
Facebook
Vagical Mystery
page.
Tour.
Vagical Mystery
VagicalMysteryTour.com.
Okay. So that's the 19th. The 20th in Cleveland is our first NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio Mini Golf Classic.
Oh, wow.
That's a
That's a hoot.
fundraiser.
Oh, that's
I'm
a
sad to
hoot.
be missing it.
The first one is July 20th in Cleveland. The next one is in Toledo, August 5th. And then you guys are in Louisville.
And our show is on Saturday the 22nd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
And
good.
then just plan another mini golf thing a year from now, and we'll
A
come
year
back.
from now,
here.
we'll be back.
We might do that. The plan is to have a couple of them around the state. So far we've got Cleveland and Toledo scheduled. So it's kind of
Okay.
like a bowl-a-thon thing where
Oh,
people like,
good.
Yes.
you know, join a team, raise some
So
money. If they raise at least $50, they get in, you know, for their team. So it
That's
should be,
great.
That's really
yeah, a lot of fun.
Fantastic. You guys are doing such good work here.
Yes, we love you.
Thanks, Gabe.
Ditto. So thanks for coming,
Yeah.
and we'll talk again soon.
Bye.
Yes,
Bye.
bye.